My first question was about the cheesecake, but if you had it, man.
I love that
Where
cheesecake.
is it from?
I feel like I'm giving out free publicity,
Yeah?
and hopefully they see it.
Oh, it's between us.
But it's called the vegan Athens, the vegan spot.
Okay, I don't know it.
It's the best cheesecake.
I'll
Every
find
time we come here, we order like 20 of them.
Okay.
Every time. Best cheesecake ever. It's a big fan of his, and I couldn't wait for EuroLeague to put the highlights so I could watch how he did it. And then when I found out it was 3 dribbles, it's even more impressive.
Thank you for being with us. You said that you prefer media and fans to sleep on you so you can do your job. Do you think that after the 50-point game and the All EuroLeague selection last season, all this made you a target for the opponents?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe. But as you said, from my point of view and source of motivation, I just look at, after it happened, there was still a lot of talk of who I did it against, you know? So that's kind of where I flipped my motivation to. It's like even then after that, it's still, yeah, but it was against, or yeah, but, you know? So I try to do that, and it's, I try to put more focus onto what I can do to prepare, you know, instead of worrying about the opponent. I feel if you worry about the opponent, you lose energy that you could be putting into yourself and to your work and to yourself to be better.
How is it really to be in that zone and score 50 in a single game?
As I've said, it's the most childlike I felt playing basketball since I was a child, honestly. It felt like just running around and just shooting the ball, and like you're having fun. And then as I'm getting closer to the record, there's 2 guys trying to make sure I don't get the ball, and then it became real fun, like, ooh, how can I get the ball? And it just felt like it was the most joy, most fun, most pure basketball game that I've played.
You revealed your text to Sasha Vezenkov about his recent 45-point game. You wrote that he should try to break the record. How did you feel during his run?
I was traveling on off days. Maybe you've heard I like to travel on my off days and go to different countries. I was in Beirut, in Lebanon, visiting a friend and walking around. So I was at the grocery store. I was looking for there's these chips, really good chip brand, and I only found them in Beirut. So I was at the grocery store looking for the chips, and then my friend Nate texted me and was like, "Nige, you just missed an amazing one. Sasha had 45." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And then, you know, I go to Twitter, and then I'm checking, and then people start texting me. I think Kalathis texted me too and was like, "You're still safe for now," or something like that. But it's a big fan of his, and I couldn't wait for EuroLeague to put the highlights so I could watch how he did it. And then when I found out it was 3 dribbles, it's even more impressive. This is unbelievable, honestly. So congratulations to him again for, you know, that performance and that night that he had. He deserves it.
Do you think that these individual accomplishments are a clear clue that, like the NBA, EuroLeague is a players' league, or there is room for significant coaching intervention?
No, it's definitely not a players' league. It's for sure a coaches' league and a club league. And that's not for me to say whether that's good or bad, but I think my answer that I can give you is that it's definitely a coaches and a players' league. I mean, the clubs have the history that goes back as far as it does. And then the way players change teams all the time, you know, rarely do you see a guy stay with the team for multiple years. So you can associate a player with, you know, a team. And I think a lot of I mean, you see it when you go to the games, when the coaches walk in and the whole arena, like that doesn't happen in the NBA, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even probably know when the coach comes in. But it's, I think things all change with time. So maybe, who knows, maybe one day it would be a players' league. I mean, I think that's the best way for it to be anyways. I mean, the fans come to watch the game, they come to watch the players, you interview the players, you wear the jerseys of the players, so I mean, it makes sense.
You always make it clear that you hate fiction. So, fact or fiction, EuroLeague is better and more competitive than the NBA?
I hate those questions. I don't think it's. I don't think it helps EuroLeague the way people think it does. I think that people and you guys cover it, and you're more than intelligent enough to understand that they're two completely different games. They're not the same game at all, and when they're compared like that, I feel like it just takes away from EuroLeague standing on its own and saying, this is what we do, and this is our product, and we're proud of it, and this is what we have. And I tell guys all the time, with 1 or 2 rule changes in EuroLeague, the game would look the same. If we got rid of 3 seconds, and if we made the three-point line longer, it would be the exact same game. Those 2 rules allow the game to be like how it is. You know, if the court was bigger and the 3 seconds was away, the game would open up, the court would open up, it would be a much faster pace, and you would see a game that resembles the NBA. So with these 2 rules, I think it's better for EuroLeague to say, this is the product that we have. And although some of the best players in the world, not everyone in the NBA is better than everyone in EuroLeague, but we can agree that the best players in the world play in the NBA, but in EuroLeague, we still have an extremely, extremely talented group of guys. It's extremely, extremely competitive. And not only are the players proud of it, the coaches, but most importantly, the fans who come to these games and anything short of dying for their club cheering are extremely proud of the product that EuroLeague is.
I'm also asking because after your summer with the select team in the Olympic Team USA practices, you said that you rediscovered the joy of basketball that doesn't exist in Europe.
For sure. That was the happiest I've ever been in my life. It is. It was, I've never been so happy. I've never stayed awake at night so long, and I've never woken up so quickly, so that way I can enjoy those days. This is the happiest time of my life. And yes, during that time, it was being in Europe so long, again, you've watched a million games. So you see the coaches, when something happens, when the team scores, the coach is yelling, why did they score? When you mess up on offense, the coach is turning around yelling, why did you turn the ball over? The coach is yelling at the bench. So that way, when you go in, you don't make the same mistake. So it's always this constant, I was just saying like this, like you're always like this tenseness. The whole game is like this. And there's no time for joy. There's no time for smiling. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is so just intense, and everything is so like, if you mess up, it seems as if you cost the team the game. And during those 40 minutes of a EuroLeague game, like there's no moments to smile. There's no moments to celebrate when someone hits a shot. When you see Steph hit a shot and then you see the whole bench is celebrating, like you see you smiling, you know what I'm talking about, because you enjoy watching that. But in Europe, that culture is not there. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just an objective reality that it's different. And that joy that I found was like, I can smile and play basketball. Wow, this is nice. This is nice.
What do you remember from your 2-hour conversation with Steph Curry, and how did you feel when Kevin Durant noted that your talent belongs to the NBA?
The conversation was extremely surreal. Last couple years of my life, I've tried to do a good job of being present, being in the moment, and I'm sure you know, like I like to read, I like to learn. One of the things I've learned is that the true only way to be present, book I'm reading now, Peace in Every Step, by Thich Nhat Hanh. The only way to be present is to breathe. So like you have to consciously, and when you do that is when you're present. So in that moment, I'm sitting across some stuff and I'm looking at him talking to me and I'm like, there's no way. Like the guys will not believe this. Like they literally won't believe this. Like no one's gonna believe that he sat here and took time and answered every question I had. I was like, what do you do? What do you sleep? What do you do for recovery? What do you eat? What vitamins do you take? Like, what do you train in the off season? Like, what do you do when you're tired? What do you like? And he just sat there and I had a notepad and I had a pencil and I was like, I'm just gonna write down what you say. And he was like, no, I got it. And he took it and wrote it down for me. So like to sit there and like see arguably the greatest point guard in the history of the NBA, the greatest shooter to ever pick up a ball, to be so personable with me was an experience I won't forget. And then for Kevin to say that again, a unicorn of a player, to be able, one of the greatest scorers of all time, they say one of the greatest players of all time, to be able to see me, my talent. And before that even happened, we talked in Las Vegas, and he saw the 50-point game I had, and he told me, like, that shit was good. And I'm like, you saw that? Like in my mind, I'm going, there's a disconnect between like they don't see, EuroLeague, and for him to be like, no, that was nice. And I'm like, wow, like if Kevin Durant notices and says something like that, then I must be doing something right.
Do you kind of think that coming to Europe was something like a failure to the NBA dream? Is that something that Americans have in mind?
Yeah, definitely. Not everyone, but let's say you go to college and you're, a good college player, top college player, as I was. The idea and the dream and the goal you have as a child is to play in the NBA, and when you don't make it and you have to come to overseas, it does feel like, like you may have missed out on that opportunity, or you may have failed your goal. And that hits players differently. Some take it worse, some take it better. But I think I've been able to, and I've tried my best to be able to be present in every team I've been in, be present in the cultures. I've tried my best to immerse myself amongst the people and amongst the culture. Tried to learn the languages of every place I've played in. So I've tried my best to be present, be where my feet are, and understand that, it's just a part of my journey, and everyone's journey, everyone's story, looks different.
Besides your effort to test every stenographer's ability with those difficult words in your March Madness press conferences, in what way do you think that your game has changed after college and perhaps the final in 2015 with Duke?
Not even remotely close to the same player. And the biggest thing, honestly, was just like in Wisconsin, there was this way of basketball we played, and it was more of like the style was really slow, methodical, and being able to try to get away from that was one of the biggest learning curves for me. I spent 4 years, in a system where it's like, this is how we play, this is how it goes. This is the highest level I played at so far in my life. So it's kind of like, and we won. So in my mind, I'm going, well, it works because we won. So this is how you should do it. And then once you get out of that in professional basketball, it's like, no, that's not how you play professional basketball, So it was a learning curve to get out of that. And then, of course, my skills and abilities have gotten better as I've gotten older. I've learned more. I've talked to more people. The game has slowed down for me so much that it actually feels like I play in slow motion sometimes, where like when I'm on the court, even when I train, I do if you ever see my pregame stuff, when I get to the gym early, yes, I do all my footwork in slow motion at half speed. And when I play, that's what it feels like I'm doing. So I feel like I'm always in control, and I'm always in the driver's seat, if you will, of what I'm doing. So it's the player I am now to Nigel is unrecognizable.
You said that the strongest word to hear from a coach is soft, like Coach Jaskevicius called your teammates and you recently. How has Coach Saras changed between Barcelona days and in Fenerbahce?
I think he's gotten less hands-on, if you will. I think he's trusting the players more. He's allowing players to play more. He's not being as stringent with the rules and the things he wants. And I've always said, I think that's the curse of his genius and his talent as a player, is that now that he's a coach, he's like, I know the right thing to do because I'm so smart. And also as a player, I did the right thing because I was so good. So sometimes when he's coaching, he's like watching, and he's like, in practice the other day, I told Devin this, and it was like, he was yelling at someone for not doing something on a pick and roll. And I'm like, Devin, this is one of the best EuroLeague point guards of all time. Like, he's yelling because someone's not doing what he would have done on the pick and roll.
That's true.
And I feel like he is kind of like understanding that, like, okay, like, I got to maybe dial it back just a little bit. He's definitely, compared to Žalgiris in Barcelona, he's definitely a lot more reserved. But again, that's a compliment to him being able to continue to learn and evolve as a man and a coach.
Any differences between him and Coach Itoudis?
They have the same coaching tree under Obradovic. Itoudis coaching with him, Char's playing for him. So it's a lot of similarities, but I would say the only slightest difference is Itoudis being more offensive, freedom-oriented, if you will,
okay.
Whereas Charis is more like, here's the system that we have, and play within the system, and then you'll thrive in the system. I think that's really the biggest difference that I've noticed.
What is your approach on that thin line between crowd passion and the fans consider the athletes as machines and winning as an obligation here in Europe?
Yeah, in Europe, I always say, and I think it's hard sometimes for Europeans to understand, but in America we have the NFL, the NBA, hockey, soccer as we call it, college sports, tennis, women's sports. So we have all these things that you can put your passion into.
Okay.
When you come to Europe, it's usually you get basketball and football. There are other sports, but the main two are that, and you get to watch it once a week. So all of that passion and all of that drive is put into one team 1 week, and you spent your whole week at work. Maybe work's bad, if something's going on with the family, if someone pissed you off at walking at the coffee shop, and then you go to the game and they put all of that emotion and passion into cheering, and it makes for great environments. Like obviously everyone loves to play in Stark Arena. Everyone loves to come play in Athens at the two arenas because the fans bring so much passion, and it's beautiful. As I always say, as long as it stays safe for fans and players, and it stays as respectful as possible, then it's a great environment to play in for sure.
You said many times that you wouldn't have been here without your mother and the important role of your stepfather. I will reverse the question, but where would have you been if it wasn't for them?
Honestly, who knows? I mean, love my mother to death, the greatest woman I ever met. And my stepfather, the greatest man I've ever known. And without the combination of them and him, making sure that he allowed my mother to be at home and take care of my siblings and I. And he worked himself to exhaustion multiple times to be able to allow me to play basketball and travel when I was younger, to be able to go to camps, to be better, to be able to go and experience things, all for the sake of allowing me to create a better future for myself and my future family, and then my family with the game of basketball. So, yeah, they deserve everything that they get. I do my best to tell them my appreciation, and I do my best to show them my appreciation, but they're amazing, and I'm thankful because not everyone has parents. Not everyone has good parents, and I'm able to have both, so I'm very thankful and appreciative of that.
What is the purpose of your foundation, and please share your definition of discipline and success in life and basketball? I just told one of our strength and conditioning, the assistant, Ilker, back in Istanbul, that you got to be more disciplined than you are motivated, because motivation comes and goes. But discipline is what makes you show up every day and do your job and do what you're supposed to do, because that's what you're supposed to do. And it's the driving force of knowing that life is short. My playing career is short. My time with basketball is short. Time in life is short. And what do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for when you're done playing? Like, what will people say about you when you're done? And you want to do whatever you can to make sure that those are all good and positive things, and always keeping the most important part is how you are as a person, because what you do as a person and what you put out into the world comes back to you. And
the success I've had, and I think a lot of people will say it can be attributed to me. Not perfect, but I do my best to try to be a good person and treat those around me well and take care of those that need it. And yeah, it's just what do you want out of life, I think would be the biggest thing, because life is very short, life is temporary and precious. So like, what do you want, and do you wake up every day and do your best to try to make it happen?
We appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.